we are worth the time. You absolutely are worth the time. And the amount of work that needs to be done is worth it, and you're worth it.
So, should Christians seek out support for their mental health?
So yes, like I believe wholeheartedly they should. Now it's fraught, obviously, like that giant introduction. If that doesn't scare away somebody from wanting to seek out, like how do you even start? How do you even test? All that stuff. I get it. It's all very, very difficult process. But that does not mean that you're, as an individual, that your mental health isn't extremely important and should be taken seriously. It is the driving factor behind your decisions and how you behave and how you see yourself, and how you see the world. And of course, that should be something that we seek health for from a Christian perspective. It's as silly in my mind as, asking, should we go to the doctor when we put a nail through our foot? It's like, well, yes, obviously. Well, should we go to a physician when we have a heart attack? Yeah. Well, what about when your brain gets sick? Because it can. Of course you should seek out a clinician who could help you process what's going on so that you can heal and that you can move on. And to be clear, you can heal and you can move on. And this is just a season. It's not a permanent thing. We have to make sure that we're not letting what we see in movies drive our idea of what therapy looks like. I don't know if you have
Yeah.
that problem. I do sometimes. Like, no, yeah, there's no fainting couch in my office, but we can put one in there if
Mhm.
you need one.
I mean, I'd love to come lay down and just chat with you. I mean, it sounds lovely.
So we sit on the floor. I'm so hippie about it. Your shoes are off. We sit on floor pillows. There are big blankets. Like, it's like a big
You got
sleepover
snacks?
looking
Are
thing.
there
Yeah.
snacks?
Oh,
All right.
absolutely. Snacks, coffee. I do willow bark tea. Oh my gosh. We do it up.
Oh, it made when you were talking, I was thinking about the really directive, I think is the word I would use in scripture to love God with our minds. And that gets trickier to do if our mind is unwell. I mean, we need to take care of our minds in order to even, I think, obey that.
Hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't expect somebody with the flu to get up and run a race. But when your mind is sick, it's part of your body too. And there's an impact that occurs when your mind is sick to the rest of your body as well. And so all these things have to be dealt with holistically. And I say that in the sense that we need to keep in mind that we're taking care of a soul and a body and a mind, like all of it. And so all of these things, as they alter and get sick, can affect everything else. And if we look at it as a closed system that affects other things, then we can look at the person as a whole and not as little bits and pieces, which never really works in my mind. It's always a system, and each one impacts all the other ones.
I want to rabbit trail for a second. This isn't really the focus of our talk, but I thought it was worth mentioning. It seems like it fits here. And I don't know if we've had an opportunity to record on this yet. So, what are your thoughts on prescription medication for this area? Do you have sort of a general stance that you hold to?
I do. I have a general stance that we are free as Christians to pursue anything that natural revelation gives us, modern medicine and modern pharmacology included. So I do not have a problem with taking any medication for mental health. We just need to be mindful of what the cost is, how much we know or don't know about a new drug, and that we're mindful of that we're just keeping track of the person and saying, hey, here's what maybe are secondary symptoms that are going to affect you. Do you actually want to live with these or not? Everybody has the right to self-determination. Some of these medications out there are miraculous. I mean, I would say it's pure, and you may have experienced this too. In the mental health field, there are things that are very, very difficult to treat. And you at some point you have to throw your hands up in the air and say, it's entirely possible that this is chemical, that this isn't something that we can control through processing and making sure that we're identifying cognitive distortions. This isn't distorted. This might be chemical. And when those chemicals are balanced, it goes away. And that's beautiful. Like, how is that any different than keeping somebody like me who has a really, really bad endocrine disorder? I could take medicine for that in order to make my endocrine system work, and it does. And now I can keep working. My body doesn't make some of the things that I need in order to function. So I take them instead. Like, that's wonderful. What an incredible gift. I could be dead, you know? And instead, I get to be here with you, making this awesome podcast and taking care of people. Like there's a massive gift there. And pharmacology also has roots in Christianity. And I have a big, long lecture explaining that actually on the YouTube channel if somebody wants to review it.
I completely agree with you. And sometimes it will completely take care of an issue, like you've mentioned. It will completely solve what is a problem for someone's life. And other times, I've seen it set the person up to engage in processing, cognitive processing, and emotional kind of more deep dive that they weren't otherwise able to do. And so then they're able to fly forward in all sorts of areas
Yeah.
because
Oh, yeah.
this barrier has been removed. And so for us not to be open to that, whether it's a period of time or it's something someone needs to be on for the rest of their life,
Mm-hmm.
I agree. There are hardships in every generation and there are blessings in every generation as we look back throughout history. And we've got a mix of both here. When I think about technology, I'm like, it's a blessing. It's also something we have to be cautious with. There are all kinds of, issues with technology and things. And gosh, my addiction to TikTok could get real if I didn't watch it. And so there's things we have to I love the cooking. I love
Oh,
recipes and
yeah.
I actually cook
Oh,
them.
well,
It's so fun, but I'm like, I could scroll for an hour at night when I'm tired. I'm
yeah.
like, this is not a good use of my time. So, okay, we need some checks and balances there. We need to be taking a look at things like you said. Medication can be such a gift. It can be such a blessing. And we have that now. And we didn't have it even in the same way 50 years ago. I mean, because we continue to have new developments, we continue to have discoveries and to hone things. And so 100% like let's use
Yeah.
these gifts that we have in our
Sure.
21st century.
And in the same on the same token, we have to stop viewing humanity as emblematic or as somebody or something that can be summarized in like something like a TikTok, right? Because we deal with that a lot. Is that we're thinking too low level about this, like it's too low resolution. There's also the phenomenon of getting over prescribed things, and there are some things that cannot be treated with a pill, like bereavement and grief, for example. There's no pill for that. That's something that has to be processed. Work has to be done. Tears must be shed. Lament must occur. The injustice needs to be faced, right? That there's no medication for either. And so, if we're honest about the complicated nature of each case and that you as an individual are worth pursuing how complicated this is, and that's a huge thing, right? How many of us have such low self esteem that we think we're not worth the time? That's half the problem. We are worth the time. You absolutely are worth the time, and the amount of work that needs to be done is worth it, and you're worth it.